Now I'm not saying, oh, it's 39
No.
pages and it's this and that. I'm saying
Now
this
I'm
is what
interested.
it will do for you. So it's external. It's whatever. Hey, if there was one trick to selling more to your customers, would you like to know what that is? If the majority of people,
I would like to
you
know.
would like to?
I would like to
Well,
know.
if the majority of people actually are focused on the wrong thing in sales, would you like to know if you were as well? Well, that's what we're going to talk about on today's episode. We're going to be talking about this magazine again because we love it. No BS
yeah.
Guide to Marketing. And it's Dan Kennedy. Russell Brunson also helps with them. If you check the links, you can get actually a free subscription, can't you?
Oh yeah, you can get a free. You can check out the free newsletter. It's pretty epic. So
yeah, you get a free one, and then it's a monthly subscription after that if you like it. But today we're going to be talking about this question of like, what are you focused on when you're selling? So, a lot of people, when they think of salespeople and they think of sales, they think of kind of like this, like the used car salesman, right?
Yeah, I think that's always what comes up, right?
And so I hear all the time people are like, I don't really like selling because they don't want to be the used car salesman.
I don't blame them for that. Those guys are, well,
not all of them.
Car salesmen.
Not all of them. But here's the thing. So when they're selling though, like when you think of selling, what a lot of people do when they're selling is they talk about things that don't actually matter to you. So like say I'm selling to you.
Okay.
Right? I'm selling to you. So I'm selling to you. I might start talking about the features of something. Like I'd be like, hey, look, it's shiny paper. Mm-hmm. And there's, how many pages are there in here? There is 39 pages in here. It comes to your door every month.
That's cool.
And it's only $97, and so people will start talking about
the stuff.
We call it the bips and the bobs.
The bits and bobs.
But guess what? Oftentimes it's like focused on like, so say this is me and my product. Right. It's focused on me.
Yeah, that is. You were telling me stuff about the product.
The product, or if it's a service, I'll tell you stuff about me. Right. Well, and here's the thing: if you're like, oh man, I do that. Well, don't feel bad about it. It's like like a lot of people do. It's like kind of what people are trained to do. The issue is it doesn't always work.
Well, it's probably not the most important part for selling. And I mean, it's important to know what it has in it.
Yeah, right? But it's not the most important part. The most important part is actually what you can get out of it. It's externally focused. It's your results, right? And so so really it would be me saying, hey, people who read this magazine oftentimes 10x their business. And your business is one that they talk a lot about in here. And people who have read this, they have 10x'd it in a short amount of time. And so now I'm not saying, oh, it's 39 pages and it's this and that. I'm saying this is what it will do for you. So it's external. It's whatever. So it's externally focused.
Go read it.
But I want to talk about an article in here though that takes that idea even further, and it talks about it. So we've said, okay, don't be internally focused, be externally focused, which you may have heard before. But Dan Kennedy takes it even further, and he says, let's be relationally focused.
Ooh, okay,
so
that's different.
Not internally, not just externally, but then relationally, right? Okay. So what does that mean? And he has this quote in here. It says, how do customers feel about themselves because of their relationship with you or your company? That's what he means by relationally, right? So like, not just like the benefits for them, but that how do they actually feel because you have a relationship with your company, they have a relationship with your company.
Do you have an example of this?
I'm gonna get to that in just a minute.
Sorry,
so
I didn't mean to rush you.
Oh no. But I was gonna say, like, what emotions do they feel because of being associated with you, right? And I do. Well, we do. We have this an example that we buy supplements. We've been consumers of supplements for a long time.
Most of our married life, some of us have been consumers of supplements.
Oh yes,
and some of us have been consumers of supplements a little less.
Anyways, so we started. experimenting and taking supplements that were organ supplements, which may sound weird to you. It's okay if it does, but it's basically desiccated organs like liver and stuff, like grass-fed desiccated supplements. So we started with one brand, and my experience was like, I heard that these things were really good for you. Right. There's a lot of nutrition. And so I was like, well, let's try it. So I went online and I found a brand that sold them. I bought them, and it showed up in, one of those Amazon looking bags, they're
the gray plastic bags that look like the male people just drag them through dust and dirt everywhere. And so when you pick them up, you get like the black like dirt on your hands when you open them. So you always have to wash your hands afterwards. Those bags, right? They're plastic bags, and they're mailers, and they're
the bags we're talking about.
And they're useful, and they don't like fall apart
easy. So it shows up a plastic bottle full of these things stuffed in there, nothing else really. Not that I remember. I don't remember anything else.
Receipt.
So I get it. And I took supplements for a little bit, and they did help some. Like I liked them.
There were noticeable difference.
And they were actually the cheaper of the couple of brands that I looked at. Mm-hmm. And so they were a good price. They worked, right? But I switched brands. Why did I switch brands? Because I didn't.
I know why you switched brands.
I didn't have an emotional connection to that brand, and so when another brand came along and gave me a relational or emotional connection, I switched. And let me tell you about my experience with this other brand. It's a brand called Heart and Soil, and they do a fantastic. And This is not me telling you to go get their supplements. I'm telling you about the experience with their company. And we've had a couple of different ones actually. Like we used to do mud water a while ago, and that has fantastic customer experience. Very similar.
Very similar to this experience.
So let me tell you what happened. So first of all, I get this box. And
great box.
It's got, but the outside of the box isn't even as good as the inside of the box. So you open the box.
Maybe. Oh, look at that. And more pictures.
And more writing. It says the most nutrient-rich food on earth, treasures since the dawn of time. And it's got pictures. These are glass bottles. They're really pretty. Nice. Even if you order one of them, it still comes with a similar experience. And then once you take out the bottle, there's a QR code, right? And then you scan this QR code and it takes you to a video and it talks to you about all this stuff. You're also automatically into a newsletter, and they send you this newsletter every week that talks and makes you feel like you are part of a community and that you are a really smart individual for being part and taking part in the movement that they're doing.
So, and if I'm not mistaken, the first time we ordered, didn't we get an actual letter inside?
Yes, there was a letter inside.
So there was an actual letter inside. It wasn't handwritten, or it didn't even look handwritten. It was typed. It was signed at the bottom. But it was like it was.
It made me feel like I was part of a family right away.
Yeah. So it basically told you about the experience you were about to have. Right. Yeah. It future paced you into this it said, hey, look. This is where you're at. You're starting. Congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And because you started, and if you continue to do this, this is where you'll be, in the not so distant future. So it did a lot of cool things to really grab your attention and pull you in.
So let's take a look at the relational difference between the first supplement, which we won't name, and the second supplement that I took. Okay, the first supplement, I didn't have any attachment to. I mean, it was a transactional relationship, and that's it. It was transactional. That's it, right? So
no loyalty.
No loyalty. The second one, I felt like a feeling of pride. Look, we made a really good decision in being part of a community that was doing good, and it made me feel special. It made me feel like I was in part of a family, right? Well, guess what the difference was between the two? So the first brand that I didn't have any, was a transactional relation to. I think I spent a total of maybe $100 with them.
Yep.
Something like that.
Probably around in there.
This company, I have probably spent $150 a month for the last 6 months, on top of which I've also bought supplements for people in my family from that company. Right?
So close to $1,000?
Probably. So and I have no intention of stopping. In fact, even if another company came along and said my product is better than theirs, I probably would be very hard to get moved, right?
At this point, these have become a habit, right? And now you have to convince us otherwise, right?
Yes.
That the alternate solution is better, mm-hmm. and it has to be greater than, like better than enough than that we would switch anyways and go through that hassle. Like it's already automatic. Everything's already works.
So here's the question is, what is the takeaway for you as somebody who's starting a business or owns a brick and mortar? Like, what's the takeaway for you? Well, and here's the thing. Instead of just thinking about, all right, am I selling internally, which you don't, like, if you're not doing that, you want to at least sell externally, meaning like what's in it for them, what's the result? Right. But then beyond that, what is the relational connection that you're selling to your clients or your customers? Like, and here are a couple of questions, like how can you cause your customers to feel better because they bought from you? Like, do they feel better because they bought from you? And if they don't, what can you do to make them feel better? I've heard of companies that, like service-based industries, that they come say they're coming to clean your carpet or something like that. They'll actually bring with them a gift for whomever's house they're cleaning. Like, can you imagine you hire somebody and they come and they give you a gift? Like, hello, I feel pretty special, and I'd be like, I want to call them again, right? Or what if you went to the dentist, and when you went to the dentist, like they welcomed you with like this cool welcome packet, and they were like, followed up with you afterwards and called and said, hey, how are you doing? You know, like just things like that. Like, how would you feel like if people did that? And the question is, what can you do to help your clients feel connected to you and feel an emotion, right? And
real quick, so I want to give a tip. Don't think that it's just the fancy box that made the connection, right? The fancy box is just another expression of their attention to detail and their care for their customer. But just because they printed on a box does not make a loyal customer. Like the other company could have printed it on a box and showed up and stuff like this. But if they don't do any of the other things, then this doesn't count for very much other than an extra expense for the company.
Right. And here's the other thing. You may be going, well, I can't afford whatever, like that level of thing. Well, it doesn't have to be expensive either. No. It just has, it's like that whole thing, like when you buy people Christmas presents, the most expensive present isn't always the best present. Sometimes it's the cheapest present, but the one with the most thought behind it. Exactly. Right. So here are a couple of action steps that we thought of for you. And it's just 3 simple things for you to go do to start implementing this. The first is write a list of people who you love buying from, because it makes you feel special. Like, brainstorm any ideas, any experiences you've had with companies. Just like we just named, like Mudwater did that, Heart and Soil did that. Those are just 2 off the top of my head that I can think of. But service-based business, things you've bought, like anything like that, like anything that you've gone and you're like, oh, that was a really good experience. Write it down. Then the second part of that is write down why you thought it was a good experience, what you remember. Like, write down what you remember. Did you remember a newsletter? Did you remember a welcome call? Did you remember a box? Did you remember a video? Like, what did you remember? And then lastly, brainstorm ideas for your business. And brainstorm, like, just don't think about how to implement them. Just brainstorm a list.
Yeah. All the stuff. Get it all out. Cool. Whatever it is.
Whether it's realistic or not, just put it out.
Right.
And then what you do is you go through it and you
sort it afterwards.
And you sort it. And he would say always sort it through, you can put it into, do this really briefly, but you can put it in quadrants.
So there's a thing called a difficulty matrix, and basically you just make like a big quadrant, right? So 4 boxes, and then basically you have cost a little bit to implement, cost a lot to implement, low impact, high impact, right?
So what you're looking for is cost a little, high
impact, right? And then you just work your way across. It's highly unlikely you're going to do anything here at the bottom, right?
So take your list and say, hey, like, what is going to be the most impact that is the least amount of cost to me? And then if you want to do some of the things that are a high impact but maybe cost a little bit more and it works for your business, that's awesome too. So that's where you want to stay. If it's like high cost and low impact, just cross it out and keep going. Great idea. Keep moving. Yep. So those are our tips for you today. And again, if you want to check out more, we learn so much every month from this magazine, and it makes us think.
Like we only gave you a little tiny bit
like
out
literally,
of it. Like
it was
not even the whole like.
It was these 2 magic questions right here. Actually, it was only one of these 2 magic questions.
One question. And there's pages of stuff. And I know we're not selling anything, but there's pages of ideas and there's pages of inspiration for your business to get you moving. So.
Right. And at the end of the day, though, take action on the things, those steps, and think about how can you have a relational transaction or the relational experience with your customers. How can they feel better because they bought from you?
Absolutely.
And if you enjoyed today's video, check out this next video.
Right here.
We think you're going to love it.